Yo, Phil, you should come out to Rush tonight.
Alright, cool man, I'll think about
Phil
it.
decides to join a fraternity. Phil's decision on the subject displays his attitudes. In 1934, LaPiere conducted a study to investigate the relationship between attitudes and behavior. He traveled across the country with a Chinese couple, visiting restaurants and hotels at a time when most people held anti-Chinese views. They were generally received positively. He later sent each establishment a letter asking if they would accept Chinese customers. 91% said no. He discovered that attitudes do not always predict behavior. However, in general, research shows that attitudes are fairly good indicators of behavior. Phil joins a fraternity, but as a new member, he is hazed. And even though the hazing makes him uncomfortable, he complies and participates in the hazing. What you see here is that Phil has experienced something called cognitive dissonance. In 1957, Festinger performed a study in which participants performed a tedious and boring task. After completing the task, one group of participants was paid $1 and the second group was paid $20 to lie to the next participants and say that the experiment was enjoyable. When people experience cognitive dissonance, they work to change their attitude. The participants that were paid only $1, so had less incentive, did. They experienced cognitive dissonance. In doing so, they convinced themselves that they enjoyed the experience. The second group was given a higher incentive that allowed them to sufficiently justify lying, and therefore felt no dissonance. So, while hazed, Phil experiences dissonance because he is voluntarily agreeing to do things he doesn't want to do without sufficient justification. So he is like the participants in the $1 condition in Festinger's study. He reduces his dissonance by coming to like the hazing. As a new member, Phil feels very positively towards his fraternity because he has worked very hard to get into it. This is known as effort justification.
In 1959, Aronson and Mills performed a study to show effort justification. They told female participants that they were being considered to join a discussion group on sexuality. Before they could join, they were asked to read aloud words related to sexuality. This was at a time when it was unacceptable for them to use vulgar language. The first group of women had only to read aloud words that were related to sexuality. The second group had to work harder to gain admission, and they were asked to read aloud words that were vulgar, along with 2 descriptions of sex acts. This put them in a very uncomfortable situation. The second group of women rated the discussion group higher than the first group. This is because they had to perform tasks that made them uncomfortable. Effort justification is exemplified with Phil. His experiences with hazing, which were very difficult and demeaning, caused him to like his fraternity even more.
No, relax. It's just fun and games.
So when you're thinking about joining Greek life, or as a matter of fact, any group, a sports team, a group of friends, or a club, think about the ways that social psychology can impact your attitudes and decisions about that group.